Okay, so remember, we're revisiting our 79, talking about the hardness of these pills, right? Or tablets, right? So remember, we established that the mean was, in fact, 11.5. Our null hypothesis was that the mean was 11.5. And doing our t-test hypothesis test, we concluded that we had to fail to reject the null hypothesis, right? So we're going to see if we arrive at the same conclusion, but instead of doing a hypothesis test, we do a 95% confidence interval. So remember, if 11.5 falls into our 95% confidence interval, we'll be 95% confident that the actual mean hardness for these pills is 11.5. So of course we have our state. We want to estimate the true mean hardness, mu, for this type of pill at a 95% confidence level. And plan, we should construct a one sample t interval for mu if the conditions are met. Remember, we checked the conditions in the previous problem, so we're not going to do that here. So let's go ahead and do our do part. If we found that, so in the previous problem, we found that x bar was 11.516, and the standard deviation of x was 0.095. And of course, since we're doing a t distribution, the degree of freedom will be 20 minus 1, which is 19. Remember, this is a confidence interval. So we have to do 1 minus 0.95 over 2 to get both of the tails. And that is equal to 0.025. And what we do is we go into our table. And as you can see, I already highlighted it. I had 0.025 and I had 19. And that's the number that intersects at those two. So the critical value is going to be 2.093. Let's go back. So that's where I got that 2.093. Now, the confidence interval then is, so remember our confidence interval is x bar plus or minus the critical value times the standard deviation of x over the square root of n. And that's going to be equal to 11.516 plus or minus 2.093 times 0.095 over the square root of 20. And that is equal to 11.516 plus or minus. So if we do that calculation, that would be 0.044. And that will give us the interval 11.472 to 11.56. So as you can clearly see, 11.5 is in this interval, right? So the same conclusion that we got, that the mean could definitely be 11.5, right? At least from this conclusion, the mean definitely could be 11.5, whereas in a hypothesis test, we had to fail to reject the null hypothesis, which stated that the mean was 11.5, right? So conclude, we are 95% confident that the interval 11.472 to 11.56 captures the true mean hardness measurement for this type of pill. So the confidence interval, so that confidence interval we got contains 11.50, so it agrees with our conclusion in the previous problem, the failed to reject the null hypothesis that the mean was 11.5.